Breaking Bad is a show about murder, meth, and just about any dark part of humanity you can think of. However, the word empath still gets passed around just as much as Wendy. Jesse Pinkman is a character that has captivated audiences for well over 15 years now. But what is it about this pot-smoking, beanie-wearing delinquent that always has people coming back and pondering the same question? Is Jesse Pinkman an empath? Well, before going into Jesse Pinkman's character briefly and what he does in the show, let's actually look at the definition of an empath. So this is the Google definition of an empath, but we're going to go with the brief fact that it is someone who has high levels of empathy. You know, the first thing we see of Jesse Pinkman in the show is him in a drug den, sleeping with another woman, half naked. The first thing we know about him is that he's involved in the production of methamphetamine. He kills a man cold-blooded in season 3. It's safe to assume that he's not a good human being. In season 1 and season 2, mainly, we see that Jesse Pinkman had grown up in a pretty decent middle-class upbringing. You know, we see his house, we see his little brother, Jake, and his parents seem middle-class, well-off. It seems to the average viewer that Jesse Pinkman had gone down a really bad rabbit hole himself, and he wasn't put there, He could have studied hard in Walter White's chemistry class. He chose to go down that path. He chose to fail high school and eventually go into the production of methamphetamine. So because of this, the character of Pinkman is completely irredeemable because obviously he chose to do these bad things. I think an audience is forgetting that people can still have empathy, feel empathy, and, be an empath whilst also not being a great human being. Now, this episode that is displaying on screen right now is called Peekaboo, and it was in season 2. And this is the episode that, for me, cemented my affection and level of empathy for Jesse himself, and the reason why I assumed that he was actually a good guy. After all, now bear in mind, I still knew that Jesse was a drug dealer. I still knew all of the other things about Jesse's character that people who love him so much seem to ignore. However, this episode couldn't help but touch my heart and made me think that, Jesse is actually just a young guy who does care about children. But then you can argue that, Jesse is selling meth to these people who are looking after this child. He's contributing to the suffering of this child in a way, because this child would not be in that state and condition if it didn't have parents who were addicted to the very substance that Jesse Pinkman is selling himself on the streets of Albuquerque. There are many other small things and tells, I guess, that make Jesse Pinkman an empathetic character, such as when he picks a cockroach off the ground instead of killing it, or I think it was a beetle, when he gifts Walter White a Rollie for his birthday. But you do have to remember, the reason that Jesse Pinkman appears as an empath is because compared to all of the other characters in the show he is, compared to Walter White he is, compared to Gus Fring, compared to the Salamanca twins, compared to Todd Alquist, even compared to Mike, Jesse Pinkman is a saint. In my opinion, I don't think Gilligan wrote Jesse Pinkman to be a benevolent character. I think he wrote him as just a kid who went down a dark path, not someone who, was put there. I think Gilligan excellently portrays Jesse Pinkman as naive as well, as you can see in many of these clips. So in conclusion, do I think Jesse Pinkman is an empath? No, I don't really. I think he's a bad person who is written to look like a semi-decent person compared to the absolute psychopaths and horrible people around him. Thanks for watching, guys.